Yeah,
All right, it's recording.
let's make sure we get that next time.
Yes. What was the deal again with the Perrier? Perrier?
It's just so it's the same thing.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's up, man? How are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, doing good. I'm flying to Spain, to Tenerife on Thursday. So, it's not necessarily just a vacation because I'm just taking care of my parents and there's issues there, like health issues and so on. But still, it's a beautiful island, so and it's a scenery change, so I'm happy. Yeah. And you?
When, when's the last time you've seen your parents?
That was um maybe 9 months ago or something. Yeah. I don't exactly remember, yeah, but it was last year. Oh yeah, more than 9 months. Wait, it must have been May, June. Yeah, I think June I came back. Yeah, it's almost a year. Yeah. No,
Yeah, yeah,
it's March. Yeah, June. 9 months. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My so since last time you saying the yeah, I've been noticing myself doing the yeah, like when I'm
You do
doing
it
it.
all the time. Yeah, I know. Yeah, blind spots.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm doing it. I started doing it too, and I'm recognizing it every time now.
yeah, yeah.
In German, you
It's
can
it.
do it too. Yeah, yeah.
What was that?
In German, it's the same. It's yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So you've been consciously saying it when you wanted to say "lick my ass."
no, I haven't been doing that. I haven't been doing that.
only to
That would be
only to some
yeah.
special ladies.
A lot of people would be getting that call if I was like accidentally doing it. I'm like, no, no. Um,
Yeah. So I guess it's like this. The psychology is like, yeah, this is a confirming yes, yeah, yes, like yes. I saw a video today of Megan and Harry, and it was they were analyzed all her moves, like her hand touching him here, and it was this expert, I don't know if he was an
body
expert,
language,
but
body
yeah, body
language.
body language expert, right? I don't know if he was an expert, but what he said made sense, but it's also very stigmatizing to just, break it down to only that and always say it is like this, especially when you're trained. It's much more, yeah.
Yeah, we all have like even for the people that have like really studied it at a high level, we all have our biases, and it's hard to be unattached to the bias that we are going in.
Give me an
So say
example.
for say for some reason if I go in that uh, I'm pro royal, and I think that Megan is entitled. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to change the way I go into the body language, and there might be some truth and some lies within it.
Mm-hmm. You mean
But the more,
that changes the way you look at her body language?
yeah, change your perception, 100%.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did a project. I just filmed it, and we had to do it twice because my brother who's doing it for free, and he has really good solid equipment. I went as Bob and Mickey as Walmart greeters. So I went to Walmart and bought a Walmart vest that I'm out there greeting people in front of Walmart. And then I end it with singing. And the first time we had already stopped and we're leaving, they called the security.
Mm-hmm.
Second time, the employees were a different location. The employees were cheering. And I would say that because I did it the first time, I might have been a little relaxed. Mm-hmm. And last time I went into the store twice before there, spotting it out. And I didn't want to be noticed, and I got noticed. So I might have been a little more tight. So that probably changed the fact of the security being called. Mm-hmm. Because it was to the point that I was suspicious.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So let's talk about reality.
Since we've always talked about fiction. Yeah.
Well, how about the topic's reality?
Reality check or reality.
What's
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah,
so the opposite of reality, we'll call it fiction.
yeah. Or
And
is there a word? Is there a noun for fake?
reality or fake news?
Fake news? No, fakeness is fakeness. Is that a word? Fakeness?
Let's make it a word.
Fatality.
Hashtag fakeness. So Jeff Bezos in the late 90s, maybe late 90s, was talking about when Amazon was just selling books. He was talking about how he'd be in the future he'd be delivering lawnmowers, and people laughed at that. And I'm not a big fan of Jeff Bezos, but we're talking about like visionaries, because any visionary, when you come with an idea, you're full of shit. But
Yeah.
luck, being in the right place at the right time, being able to have other people believe your ideas, all of a sudden it turns to truth or reality.
Like the likes you have, they're all from the Pakistani guys, right? So I'm sure, is that because I saw you with this really funny hardware thing, you know, we're doing this hardware. Oh, it's all fake. Oh, well, yeah, that was really funny actually. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It made me actually at the end even laugh out loud, you know. And so I think it's not fake, you know. It's just Pakistanis liking it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, to the scheme of likes and views and everything along those times. I mean, do they really have value except for the perception that are given to them?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I totally agree. It's like use those fake weapons against to spread content, you know. So no, okay, go for it for the other topic.
So the other is fiction. Like, how can we stay with an idea as a visionary? So we have an idea and we have to obsess about it and believe ourselves and create a ripple effect. Then all of a sudden other people start to believe it. I want to talk about a story that was really interesting. I was playing on a baseball team after college, and we were coming up with team names. You know, sometimes you just like say stuff. So my name for the team name was Missionaries. And then they were making fun of me for doing that, it was a dumb name.
It's yeah, because it also sounds like a missionary position. I think it's funny, you know.
Sounds like a missionary position, Christian missionaries, but was it
exactly the kind of name I would approve of.
What was that?
Exactly, I like it. It's exactly the kind of name I would approve of.
but here was the thing: is I persuaded everybody because I kept on after it. Even I didn't even want the name, but I was more in my ego at that point. And I was like, kind of like, part of me was like, no, Missionaries. I kept on saying it, and they were undecisive for other stuff, but I kept on saying it. Print the team. Oh, we got our shirts.
That's what Trump is doing. This repetition. This is almost it's how do you call it? Hypnotism. No, to hypnotize someone. You know.
Yeah.
Say it again until you take it in. You know.
And one thing that Trump was very good at, still good at, is he also says things in threes and says it 3 times and repeats that. So that's big in hypnotism, is the power of 3, because even if you have 1,000 things in one of the 3, like I do team building, marketing, entertainment, because once you say a 4th thing, all of a sudden they start to forget the other ones, and then it becomes too much to manage. But how much stuff goes in entertainment. It's like writing poetry. There's just like I could put 1,000 things in that in entertainment. I can even overlap that some of the stuff I do is marketing. Some of it is I'm not really stopping and thinking, but I can figure out a way to fit it at least one of them, or maybe in three. So Trump tells you what he's going to tell you, then he tells you, and then he tells you what he just told you. Early on, there's a guy that does the Dilbert comics. They're kind of like Silicon Valley type comics of people working in engineering companies, but it's this one put together. It's called Dilbert, and that guy is also a hypnotist.
I think I know this. Yeah,
that guy's also a hypnotist. And when he heard Trump talking at the beginning, he's like, he's going to get elected. He's going to be the government. He's going to be the Republican nominee. He called it real early when people were skeptical of it, because he saw the level of hypnosis that Trump was able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a friend who's a psychologist, and we were going to this birthday party this weekend, and he offered the person that whose birthday it was a session of hypnosis as a real psychologist, you know. And I asked him, so what do you think about it? Does it really work and so on? And he said, oh yeah, it does. And then he gave me some real examples of some clients where things really work, you know. So it's different. He says it doesn't always work the same way, and sometimes it takes 6 hours. In an hour you can get a lot accomplished, he said, with hypnosis. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad used to do hypnosis.
Mm-hmm. You did it last time. You tried to get my money.
Yeah.
And I looked, it's all gone.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah. You sow what you reap.
And in hypnosis, they say that they can't make you do anything that you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I disagree with that, because there is mass hypnosis. What a lot of horrible leaders have done in the past.
Well, it's the question of what your ego wants to do or what your real self wants to do, you know. So I think one definition bases it on the ego, and the other definition bases it on the true self, you know.
Yeah. I came up with something, was like how you develop your social media personality. And originally what it came from was if I could figure out how somebody got attention when they're a kid, I could totally control them.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody, like you, like if I could figure it out in a little while, but that's bad karma to do that. I would only do that like in an emergency situation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And you can, and if you look away from how people want to be seen, and like look into like maybe the balance of, okay, this is how the person wants to be seen, this is how they're seen, because a lot of times it's like, oh, children are manipulative, children do this, children do this. A lot of us never grow out of those things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We just learn to hide it better. So for instance,
mm-hmm.
kids being bad, they're like, I'm not being bad now. Like all of a sudden they're just being bad and being crazy, and then all of a sudden they'll say, I'm not being bad now. So they're not even lying, because they're not. They're like, I'm not being bad now, because you just like threaten to take ice cream away from them. I'm not being bad now. We do the same thing. We just do it a little different.
Yeah.
I remember
that. Yeah.
What?
That's why I remember. Yeah,
go ahead.
I will say it later.
Yeah, no, you go.
I'm just saying that that's why it's so important to step out of the idea that you should accumulate material wealth around yourself. Even if you want to share it, you should at some point, you know, give your wealth, open it up to others, and under a democratic rule, because because we can't really step out of this whole manipulative thing 100%, you know, but we can step out of things that are measurable, and material things are measurable, and we should have at least, you know, make sure that it's we are so corrupt. At least we should make sure that the things that are measurable, which are material things, which we can see and can measure, that we, you know, step out of that corruption. You know what I mean?
How come? How would a system can be measurable?
Yeah, so what I'm talking, what I'm thinking about is more concrete, because that's part of the public space idea. So, you know, like communism is an ideal about, you know, sharing all the goods, but it didn't work because it was a planned economy and people didn't have ambition anymore, because if you put more effort into it, you wouldn't get more benefits from it, you know? And so people were all lazy. So even you know, when Germany reunited, the eastern part where Chile is from, you know, it was under the Soviet Union for 45 till 89 or 90, yeah. So that's like 55 years, right? So 55 years of not reaping benefit if you put effort into something. So all the people not moving their ass, you know. And on the BRD, which is Eastern Germany, you know, the Republic of Germany, which was under the rule or under the influence of the US, where there was the capitalistic system, right? That they introduced the capitalistic system, which is more social, much more social than the American one, but still a capitalistic system. People are used to the American way, not as crazy as the turbo capitalism that is in America, where it's like all or nothing, you know, but still you reap your benefits. If you work hard, you get something for it. So then people went into the stores there and nobody worked, you know, nobody moved, nobody wanted to serve, you know, like there's no. So in Eastern Germany, I'm talking about Eastern Germany, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you solve this problem that at the same time we need a we don't have to have this inequality and this shallowness of capitalism where people acquire wealth, and the richer they get, you look at the rich people, how stupid many of them are. It's like you don't want to be like them. Like, so you just need to open Instagram or anything, you know, like, and then you see, oh my God, you know, like that is, if that is what wealth does to you, then I don't want to be wealthy, you know. I mean, not everybody, but yeah, a lot, you know. And so so how do we how can we bring the two together, especially in times of where production is destroying the planet at a super rapid race, and we're all on the brink of
So so
suicide.
so so we have an experiment,
Yeah.
a real life experiment. It's probably like is probably as powerful it could be. Same people, Western and Eastern Germany, and communism was this way, no
Yeah.
incentive.
Yeah.
Capitalism was this way.
Yeah. Separated country, two systems, two different behaviors after 55 years. Yeah.
I think you could probably put some incentives into communism. I'm the barefoot capitalist, but I think you could put some incentives in there. But I
Mm-hmm.
think there might have not just not been incentives. I think to work harder there might have been, it might have been frowned upon too.
Mm-hmm. So my solution in public space is, I believe in the that all goods are shared because everything belongs to everyone. So there's no, so on the public space, it's not only the public space, but everything that's on public space belongs to everyone. And if something breaks, then something breaks, you know, like deal with it, you know. And if some you know what I mean, because and then but then the part of the meritocracy, you know, meritocracy is means that you merit something, or you're rewarded for effort. That is the coin system, which is a social media. Basically, you get thanks, visible thanks in forms of pirate coins. Someone thanks you, that's the front side of the coin. The thanks is on the coin is minted, and on the back side of the coin is your opportunity to fill it out with social media, which is at least a video or a text or something. And if you fill it out, that coin comes into existence and is minted, and it belongs to the person that is uh, being thanked. So the person that is putting the social media on it. So I think And even science says that, like, I studied organizational behavior in an MBA, and they said that what motivates people more than money, probably in our Western economies more, is recognition by people. And that's exactly what it is. So I believe that's enough, it should be enough to make the system run when people, everybody has the same purchasing power. So we don't have this inequality, like one person is earning 2 million for doing nothing. Like the family Quant that owns BMW in Germany, they own billions. They don't even have to work. They just employ a CEO and they give him millions and he does the whole work, right? And they just wait and reap the benefits. And on the other hand, you have people in India that work in mines that earn 50 cents for working 16 hours a day, So there's a total inequality there, like these are the two extremes. So the system is completely, like, why people are not standing up is actually a riddle to me, So in this system,
yeah. So the way, I haven't been there yet, but it's definitely on my list. The way India was explained to me was that you have the poor people that, and it was somebody from India that explained this to me, but after seeing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I got it more. You have the poor people that are, and then you have the rich people in India.
You mean Slumdog Millionaire, right?
Say it again. Slumdog Millionaire. Yeah. I got the show, but they had the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in there. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about that is the rich people had everything they'd want, but a lot of times they weren't happy. And then you have the poor people that are like way poorer than you see here in the US, even though we have poor people.
Yeah.
That are happy.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yes. I was told also Indian beggars are a lot happier than American beggars.
Yeah. So going back to important fact is, I think the way that we define riches and wealth should be expanded.
Oh yeah.
Because there's something that I say, I'm a slumdog billionaire. And I think that's, whether I have lots and lots of money or if I have no money, I feel like a billionaire.
You said you're doggy style billionaire?
Doggy style, yeah. So I think that's important, and also for the thing that you're building, or I mean, it's in the process. It's built, but it's expanding too. It needs to have adaptability, and it needs to stay fresh, or it will die. It needs to expand. I mean, I'm talking about it needs to consistently expand. And I'm not calling it a cult, but that's one of the things. But I call everything a cult. I think San Diego State's a cult. I mean, I can pretty much, like, anybody that approaches you, are you a student? They'll pretty much say the same thing to you. Are you a student? So there's like those two things that they need to know. But a cult, any community shares some lies and shares some truths, and we need to be able to.
Less of a cult than any other institution that's being built, because any other institution that's being built, no matter whether it's a benevolent institution or a business or a school, is more of a cult than that system that I'm proposing. It is a cult, but it's less of a cult than a school, than a benevolent, than UNICEF, or than CARE or Caritas or the Catholic Church or whatever, because it doesn't have hierarchy. And that makes it less of a cult. It's still a cult because it has the rule of democracy.
And remember, and without the judgment on cult, let's call it culture, which we talked in one of the other podcasts, that it's part of the situation. But there's in order for it to expand, there might be a point it could collapse, and that's it. That's making things happen, letting things happen, let the and I haven't observed exactly whatever, so I might be bringing up stuff that you've already addressed in your mind. But also the community
Mm-hmm.
should be able to look at things and address, but you can't make it anarchy, free for all, because a lot of people just don't have the integrity to follow through on that. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you need to make it. I really firmly believe in it being democratic. Like my friend who's working on the code to deploy it to Android and to the Apple Store, to the yes, he says I have to be the benevolent king until it's strong enough to take in to go over to that democratic part. But I don't believe that. I believe it should be democratic from the start. And if if it goes wrong and really under a democratic rule, it goes in a direction which I'm not behind anymore. Well, so I separate and start new with a new group, so that's not a problem. So so I'm aware of this. Yeah, I'm aware of this all. It's like, I
I
mean,
I think I had somebody that I was mentoring that I kept on thinking he was very selfish, and he didn't think he was selfish,
hmm
and I'm more selfless than the average person. So from my perspective, I would see somebody as people as being more selfish. And I'm sure there's lots of people that probably look at me and wherever they're standing or where they're feeling, they might see me in that same one. So what I did is I was sitting at a Starbucks and I created an acronym from the word Starbucks. Starting on one side, it was selfless, and the other side was selfish.
hmm
And I just used the word to break down. And on the side with the K, which would be the selfish side, it was a king, being a king of your group, because you're not just when you're
selfless or selfish?
thinking about
Selfish,
yourself,
right?
you're a king, you're thinking about your people.
Ah, okay.
So I agree that it might have to be there, but you could create a place that it's democratic, but then you have the point that you have the trump card if you need to make a decision. And then if the decision involves you too much, then you can have somebody else like somebody else that makes it in that one, kind of like
I didn't
a
get that.
what was that?
I didn't understand that, what you just
So
said.
so you understand the part of like if it was you could have the trump card. You know what trump card means?
Yes.
So you'd be able to make the decision. But
Mhm.
I'm saying if it all of a sudden the decision involved you so much that it was something that you couldn't really necessarily see it from uh, with pure vision, then you would have something that's a protocol that's written before
Mm-hmm.
that it would step over to somebody else to be able to make that decision.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Like for you know what I do a lot to make decisions. I fucking flip coins,
Mm-hmm. I
and
don't
then
know. I have something to. I have a story about that, which is actually more against flipping coins than for flipping coins. I have
yeah, yeah.
a story about that, but I don't know if we should talk
But
about it.
it's about being decisive. Yeah, go ahead and share the story. For me, it's about being decisive. It's
Okay,
not
so
about
the story is uh when one of the 12 apostles, and important also here to note that apostles actually means messenger and is not translated. So when one of the 12 messengers um was committing suicide, so Judas, there was one missing, because Jesus chose 12. And so for some reason they thought, okay, we need a 12th one representing the 12 tribes of Israel, right? So they what was it? They had two in mind. Barzabas, I think, was one of, I think his name was Barzabas or something along those lines, and the other one Matthias. And I think Matthias was the one who made it. And they flipped the coin. And then you never hear about them again. And you hear all about Paul written like 2/3 of the New Testament. So
yeah.
that's I think like God saying, let me do things. Let stop throwing coins. But
But
on
I
the other hand, I believe in
I
throwing
think,
coins to find out what you really want. Because when you throw the coin and it's heads and you're like, yes, then you know that's what you really wanted. When you're like, shit, then you know that's what you not wanted. And before, you oftentimes don't know.
but
So,
I think intent is I think I would argue that we never know
oh yeah, okay,
after stuff happens. Yeah, we never know. But it there's intent in making decisions. A
yeah,
lot of people, there's there. I think life's a dance between certainty and uncertainty. I
mm-hmm,
mean, because of people, a lot of people listen to you, or because you belong to a certain tribe, you could believe like everything that's very valuable. I
mm-hmm.
know, like, sometimes when I feel doubt, it's a time to push through something, and sometimes when I feel doubt, it's a time to release.
Yes, go with your much more with the intuition. I believe in that. Yes, I'm still
I
learning
had
that, but
I
yeah.
was driving to do the Walmart thing today, and I wasn't in a rush. And somebody came onto the freeway, and I had the right of way because they're coming faster and from behind me. And my ego wanted to say, "No, I have the right of way. Let me drive up." And I did at first, and then I just stopped and let her go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is
And
much more often. Sorry, yeah. Mm-hmm.
that could have been an accident if I would have stayed on the
Exactly.
same
Yeah.
place. And she ended up raising her hand to thank me. I mean, she might have been flipping me off, but I took the perception that she was thanking me,
Yeah.
because maybe she wasn't in a rush. I wasn't in a rush.
Yeah. That's the true position of power. We always think that ego power when we're like, "Durr," then that's actually we always losing out. We keep on losing out when we do that. And actually, when we release things, then we always winning. We're winning relationships. We win. This Eckhart Tolle, who really, I've probably learned it before Eckhart Tolle, but it really is the last time I got a real, like, it was really refreshed in my mind that letting go, it's really so important to actually also, and you know what? There's this book, How to Become Rich. You know this one? By Napoleon something, Dynamite.
And Hill,
Napoleon
Napoleon
Hill,
Hill,
yeah.
is
Yes.
thinking.
And he keeps on saying that, to always accept whatever your boss is saying, and go with it. And like basically he's telling you to let go and not fight, and then you will become rich.
But
And
also, Napoleon Hill had a deaf son who he, through lots of training and working with them several hours a day, he helped them to be able to have hearing when stuff
oh
like that
wow,
didn't
okay.
happen.
How is that
I just remember it from the book.
from the book?
Just
Okay.
a lot of, I mean, and he had access to being around a lot of rich people and everything, but he like was like seriously focused on helping his son have hearing. And it wasn't at a time when that stuff's more readily available, even though there are still some people that are deaf. But it was a
Hmm.
point that it was that doctors told that his son would never be able to hear, and then he like shielded his son from that. So it's like finding the balance of, yeah, the world tells me, like, the whole world's telling me that I'm not going to be able to do this, but I'm going to find a way. And then there's sometimes that you can
Yeah.
accept that, and there's sometimes you're supposed to push through. It's like
That's
finding that
that's what public space is for me, man. Like it's just like I just try to figure out a system which can be placed in this world. And if we all believe in the system, then we're free. Like we're in paradise. The whole world is in paradise. We have the internet, we have blockchain. If we all just start following the system, then we can get rid of our older systems and we will be free. If only 100 people already can do it, then it's already enough because then it will start rolling. And that's what but I still haven't found enough. I don't know. I might still be the only one that believes that it works.
so
And
so
obviously you're
at
right.
a
Yeah, sorry.
at a point, but at a point, which would be when you first started talking about this stuff, like how long ago was it when we first met? When you're in the beginning changes, it wasn't named under that, but you were in the beginning phases of talking about
Did I
stuff like
talk
that.
about guru back then? Or did I talk
Yeah,
about Oh, I talked about equality, right? Double
Yeah,
E.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, so I think it's 7 years, but it might be longer that I've been thinking on this idea, you know.
So,
Before that, I had
so
other web ideas.
like, actually, did blockchain exist at that point? But it didn't.
Yes,
But you didn't. We didn't know about it. I
I
didn't know
knew
about it.
about
You
it.
probably didn't know about it.
Yes.
7 years ago, did you know about it?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
10
so I
years
was,
ago, or I don't know, like I knew from
but
the very
also
beginning. Yeah.
a lot of times the technology has to catch up in order for us to. There's some certain things that, I mean, I know for the stuff that I was doing, like, people had to really start to acknowledge the problems that were in the world to do it. That's like when I say that Donald Trump was a big game changer for the Me Too movement,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the things that he said and when he became president, that hurt women enough that they were able to figure out a way to get out there and be involved in a march,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they were uncomfortable enough in order for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you can't force that stuff. You have to have bad shit happen. Like, going back to the Ukraine and the phrase that I used last time, strike while the ironing is hot. War's been around for a long period of
But
time.
let's say bad things make this reaction happen, but it's not the only way.
It's let's say it's chaos.
I think also inspiring talks can be also releasing that energy, you know, and you don't have to have
In
necessarily
the world that we
negative.
live in, because people aren't enlightened, including myself, we have to have something that disturbs us and makes us uncomfortable, because comfort is the problem. We're all too comfortable.
Is one I would disagree in saying that. I would agree with you that this is one one part of, like, because I'm coming from my own story and I know what inspired me to be compassionate was not necessarily bad things that happened to me at all. It was inspiring people that were compassionate and showed me the way, like people I watched, people I listened to, and ultimately also experiencing compassion, being active and giving to people, and then seeing the thankfulness, and that's like probably the motivator number one. So I don't think that's
I
the only reason
I don't.
for people to wake up.
I'm not saying it's the only way, and I'm not saying it's the best. And I think it's good to draw from both.
Yes, okay, then we're on the same page. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's good to draw from both. But for most people, I think bad shit happening is the thing that makes them make changes.
maybe that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope not, but
Oh, I would wish I would wish I was fucking wrong on this. I would wish that I was wrong.
yeah. But
Um,
also sometimes I think, you know, what's bad, what's good, you know, eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. How can we even assess that, you know? I mean, like, you know, people for years, like in the morale, especially in Germany, you know, where work is so important. If you weren't working, you were looked down upon, you know. I think in Japan it's the same, you know. I think in America it's the same. And today, in the light of pollution and environmental damage, actually the person that is not active and is not working, is not doing anything, is actually not destroying the planet, you know. And it's the person that's active and flying and working and using the car and the computer and everything they need to work, whatever it is, you know, that's what actually releases the CO2. So I'm just saying, like, it's all where, you know, it's so hard to define what is the right way, the moral way, you know. So I think that's it, you know. We have to stop eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then we have to start seeing um
I'd say there are stuff on the far, and I'm not talking politically,
yeah.
but on the far right that's good, and the far left that's good. I'm sorry, the far right that's good, and for this, and the far left that's bad.
Yes, I
Pedophile,
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
I have
pedophile,
difficulty
stuff
with
like that.
murder and so on. Me
You
too.
can't, like, explain that. We can't explain that in any way. And
Yes,
what,
I agree.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you can't explain that in any way. But there's stuff that's but a lot of times, and they use this example of somebody says, if it's like, oh, I got a job and like people will celebrate it online. I started my own business. Not as many people will like that. So that's where we run into problems um, with the democratic piece, because a lot of people have their different biases, and there's jealousy. Because that's why I think with me and the communities that I get involved in, the healing is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it's good to have good structure, but the healing changes how people move in that structure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. It is.
Because you're just less apt to do certain things if you just don't have. I mean, I learned to turn them into laughter, but I have like negative thoughts.
Oh yeah,
But
for
I'm
sure. Yeah,
able to
yeah, of course.
keep my thoughts and
It is so often also the vision that gets in the way, and that releases this negative energy, because if you have a goal, then you walk over dead people for that goal, like dead people as a symbol, of course, not always, but like you want that. For example, you want this to happen, yeah. Even you might be in your company, you want that project to happen, or you have a personal vision and want that to happen, and then you get mad at people on the way, or you ignore them. Yeah, or what you said one day, it's so true. Like you said, in order to be a good businessman, you got to ignore people around you in order to focus. And so you basically, that in the story of the Samaritan that walks past the good Samaritan, it walks past, I don't know if it's the story where somebody's beaten up, and the Pharisees walk by, and basically Jesus making a point that when that the person that was not even a real Jew in the eyes of the Jews, so not even a saved one, and if you want, who was the person taking care of that person in the ditch, and who actually did God's way. So that person that was in the here and now, seeing the person in front of themselves, and doing the healing, it was in God's way. And the person that's following the vision, yeah, the Pharisee walking, and also probably in his heart, totally, the intention is good, but the road to hell is paved with good intention, going for the vision of, I need to go to the temple for God, to make God's thing happen, to make something good happen in the world, is not in God's way. So it's exactly what you're saying. Like,
early on, when stuff was going on in Ukraine, when there's bombings happening, I was going to get to get lunch at this place called Smash Burger,
mhm.
and this older, slower person was going through this door on this side, and I went around another door, and I felt like that just small, not a problem. I wouldn't feel bad if I did that, but I feel like whatever I was feeling inside was the beginning of an energy moving towards war.
Oh, okay. Yes, you shared this story before, but not with the war part. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And it inspired me. This story made me, they made it do. I wanted to do something. Oh yeah, yeah. I have a new MacBook Pro, and I have an old MacBook Pro, and I'm selling my old MacBook Pro to my employer, and so they both have the same chargers, and one charger had a little, just you couldn't see it, but just it was a little less beautiful, because it had a little, and I looked at the chargers, which one is more scratched, and then I was already decided in my mind I'd take the nicer one. Obviously, it was also a newer computer, but then I thought of your story, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take the ugly one. And then so your story made a change. So these are those little things, where you were just so used in our society to grab what we can get, and then if we become aware that this is actually, look, if I have the worse, if I have the uglier charger, if I have the more beautiful charger, someone else has the uglier charger, and people don't even think that far, So they don't think of the other person being in the same we, the same entity, the same God, if you want, yeah.
And also that why I think what you're building is so powerful as a peer network, because and this would be down this way, but I'm going to do it this way. If we continue to like start with that ripple effect in the middle, and then
Yeah.
it's building out, and not just you are telling all the stories, but you have other people that are going out in the world and experiencing and
Mm,
telling stories and finding that true light and beauty, them, it's infinite, the way
It's my
that it
intention. Yeah, yeah.
expands.
It's my
Because
intention. Yeah.
that's what a lot of leaders do, is they just tell stories, that their own stories, and their people are vicariously living through those stories. And it was like, no, test this stuff, go out and experiment. That's when it's going to be really powerful, when you go back and you have different stories, because you as a woman, you as somebody that's German, you as like different ones being in other parts of the world, can be very powerful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, Corona just got another job and she's working for a union. It's a temporary job, but I had a thing at SDSU called SDSU Breathing for Peace. So every time
Mm-hmm.
you hear the chimes in campus, I challenge the students to breathe in, breathe out. Now with the union, she's going to another campus and it's expanding to there without my effort,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because she and I spent a lot of different time there. Am I going to be standing over her shoulder? Do I have to go up there and do it? That's how an idea expands so much. And I would challenge you, and not necessarily challenge you, but I feel that bad shit spreads faster than good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But also, bad shit is a
Yeah.
consistent
For
thing.
example, cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a statistics before social media, that if somebody had a good experience at a restaurant, they'll tell 2-3 people. If they have a bad experience, they'll tell 23.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's no bad um what's the word? I
There's
can't.
no bad publicity.
Yeah, yes, there's no bad publicity, or
Well,
there's
that's
something.
the saying, but I don't necessarily agree with that. For me personally, there's no bad publicity.
PR. There's no bad PR. Yeah.
But if you have a restaurant and somebody's like, there's people like, I don't look at Yelp when I'm looking at a restaurant. I don't look at the ratings. Like, I'm gonna go there. Very few, like, even when I had some problems with getting a camera, so I recently on Amazon, so I was looking at the ratings. But I rarely do that. Movies, when I'm watching a movie, rarely look at the ratings, because I've watched a lot of good movies that were like 3 stars,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they're timely, and I went towards it. So, but for restaurants to get a whole bunch of bad reviews, I know this guy that was an auto mechanic that went trying to find the dude that did it. He was like, he wanted to put violence on this guy, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, dude, man, it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it at all.
I did a bad. I gave a bad review to this place in San Diego that got like they made me pay $120. And I almost never do that. I maybe in my life on Google I have done 3 reviews. And it's interesting what like they were like I called them from the airport. I'm like, you made me pay $120. Here they made me pay another $165 for an antigen test. In Europe it's $30. What is this rip off? And
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
just money making. And then they said blah blah blah. The usual bullshit. And said I'm gonna give you a bad review. And they didn't believe it. But when then I put that review and I put every detail. I said exactly what happened. Everything was true. And they answered like an essay, twice the size of mine, and that they were really sorry, and so and if people are looking at it, I've got hundreds and hundreds of people are looking at it now. So
See
there
for
you go.
see for me, I mean, it's like, I tell my passengers in Lyft, that's the only time I would be rated. Like, I don't care
Hmm.
about rating. I
Hmm.
treat
Yeah,
people
that's
well.
what it should be. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I was I tell people, like, sometimes they're bringing it, I was like, no, give me 1 star. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Give me 2, then I'll say,
But then the
Bob wants
system
3.
doesn't work anymore if you don't
So
care.
it's one of those things. But I have authority issues also. So sometimes it might play into it. Like, for saying something inappropriate, which I still don't know what I said. I couldn't drive for 5 days.
Ah, yeah, that's so
And
terrible. People like
and
weigh
they
words
don't even
so heavily. Yeah. Oh my
they don't
God.
even tell me what passenger it was. They don't tell me if it
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
woman. They don't tell me like anything. So, but
yeah,
I gotta respond. I gotta respond to them like as the most diplomat motherfucker. It's like
yeah.
if I offended somebody, like I could probably like 90% of my rides think of something like offensive that I said.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
I have that attitude. I'm roasting people, and but I roast the right people that I could tell that they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And do I have some blind spots and miss out every once in a while? 100%.
Yes, people have to learn also, we talk not enough about this, that people have to learn to not put words on a balance, like it's so easy, we say so many things that we don't mean, and even if we mean them in that moment, we don't generally mean them, we're just mad or something, and we say things that provoke to the core if we're really mad, and then we don't really mean them. It's just our ego just talking at that moment, wanting to provoke, and then people come up with they suck it in, they dwell on it, they almost die, you just people just not listen to words so much, I think, they should more
Yeah.
look to face expressions. Yeah. Yeah, but even that, the former finance minister, he was I think
How,
16
how are
years.
we doing for time? Sorry to cut you off. How are we doing for
Yeah,
time?
yeah, we're still good. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
former finance minister of Germany with Merkel, because Merkel is not chancellor anymore, so she's not like the president of the United States is over for her, right? So there's a new one, and so he never said it before, but he said that he would always look angry. He said it in an interview. He would always look angry so he would not be overloaded with more work. So I thought that was great that he was so open about it. He said like things would just work better when he looked angry, so he kept on looking angry at people.
That's a perfect example of something that he learned as a kid.
And in many businesses, it is like this, and people just run, after all those people, and the whole thing just works because people, you know, uh, because they're not free, because they bow down. You shouldn't actually like. For me, it's the opposite. If somebody's not nice to me, fuck them. I find a way to not do it. But many people, I don't think it's like when people are angry, then they really start working and getting, because they're fear-based. They're so fear-based.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why
Fear's
it's,
fear's fear's not a good vibration to live in at all.
yeah, like Putin, this fear monger. Yeah. I wonder if they in the military industrial complex just gave him money. Okay, I mean, this happens for sure. You know how many military companies are there in the world, and how many leaders that are ready to wage a little war to get part of the pie. And with this, how much Germany alone spends now 100 billion euros, which is more than $100 billion on um, on military equipment just because of this war. Now what and they're probably always like, buying from the same companies, like American, what's it called? The company there.
Boeing,
Yeah,
those
Boeing is one, and then but it doesn't matter. You can research it yourself, but it's probably like some Israeli company, and then it's maybe like 10, 20 companies, and if these companies, it just needs to be one. I don't know, like it's so easy to make this, like as long as we're based on this money system, this problem will reoccur. Yeah, because you can make so much money with it. Yeah,
and
I'm
people
not saying
become
it
healed.
happened, but it could be the
No,
case.
I'm just saying you said the money system and people become healed.
And people,
And people becoming healed.
yeah,
You
or no,
think it's the
people becoming
system?
healed would be
I think
enough,
it's healed, but it's both. It's both.
It's both. Yeah, you
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you do the healing part, I do the system part.
yeah.
I just saw you on the front of the boat, the pirate boat, as at the very front, like a mermaid, like this. This is just the vision I just had. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I'm the king of the world.
A little bit like Titanic. Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
so we have 2 minutes. Sorry, I talked a lot. I didn't let you talk. Maybe you want to say something.
No, we're good. We're good. Global
Okay.
sandwich.
Global sandwich. Word.
Word. Till next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.